Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. I think Lal Prabhu might join little late. Priya Mataji, you want to do some kirtan?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Yeah, I can do. Just 1 second.
Okay.
You're able to hear me, right, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
So I'll start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Jai Girivaradhari Jai Girivaradhari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Jai Girivaradhari Jai Girivaradhari Yashodanandana ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जननन्दन यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन जय यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारि यमुनातीरवनचारि जय यमुनातीरवनचारि जय कुञ्ज बिहारी यमुना तीरवनचारि राधा दास बिहारी यमुना तीरवनचारि राधा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन जय यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरवनचारि यमुना तीरवनचारि जय यमुना तीरवनचारि जय कुंज बिहारी यमुना तीरवनचारि राधा दास बिहारी यमुना तीरवनचारि राधा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी श्री राधे, जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे, जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौर नटराज 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जगद्गुरु प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव पतित पावन गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. We finished Jai Radha Madhava, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, thank you. Om Shuklam Vardram Vishnum Shatirvarmum Shatpujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashanti Yasyatma Bhutesya Guru Prasadat Aham Vimuktoshmi Sharira Bandhat Saropadeshtu Purushottamasya Tasyangri Padma Pranatosmi Nityam Prahalada Narada Parasara Pundarika Vyasamrisha Sukha Saunaka Bhishma Dhalbhyan Rukmanga Udo Vibhishna Palgunadin Punyan Imam Parama Bhagavatam Namami Janmadhyasya Yato Anvaya Iratascha Arteshu Abhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Havaye Mukhyantiyah Surayah Tejo Vari Mritam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisa Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakoham Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Prochita Kaitava Atra Paramo Nirmasaranam Satam Vedhyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Sivadan Tapatrayon Moolanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kim Va Parairishwaraha Adyo Hriti Avarutyate Atra Kritvihi Sushrushvi Sakshanat Nihama Kalpataror Kalitam Sukam Mukad Amatam Dhruva Samyuktam Vivata Bhagavatam Rasamale Muraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Vasudeve Bhavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatas Sevaya Bhavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranama Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are going to enter into the 29th verse for today class. And verses in the next slide. Before that, a quick recap of this chapter. As you can see here, we are on the 5th chapter, which has 40 slokas. And it starts with where Narada inquires Vyasadeva's response. And Narada reveals the importance how Krishna Katha should be the focus in the literature that Vedavyas composed, which was not the focus in all other literature that he wrote. And the third section is Narada Muni narrates his past life. And that's where we are in right now, between the 23 and 31st sloka. And then Narada advises Vyasadeva on what he's supposed to do. So we are in the third section. In the third section, we are on the 29th sloka. The next slide. Well, it's just a recap of what was done last, the previous sloka, 28th sloka. The translation says, thus, during two seasons, the rainy season and the autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. The key point from this sloka that I like to emphasize is the real essence of, or the real realization comes only when we hear from the great souls, from the great souls. We may cultivate knowledge through various resources. We might buy a lot of books. We might hear to a lot of research, a lot of things on the internet. But unless and until our ears are open to hear the message from the great souls, even though we may be a data collector, we may have a lot of data, but none of those data is going to change our heart, because the Shabda is not actually coming from the realized soul. Therefore, it is important that our hearing process we have to increase and fine tune our hearing process. As much as we hear, so much we can cultivate our devotion, our bhakti towards Krishna. Right from our starting, the first thing that get activated for cultivation of knowledge is actually from hearing process. So that 28th verse is all about that we have to hear, and the hearing should be unalloyed or unadulterated. It has to be pure by the essence. Of course, when we take that message, we may have to present in such a way that it is acceptable or understandable to the current current period that we are in. We can't give the lectures in the same way that happened 20, 30, 40 years back. No one would come to the classes. Therefore, it has to be, but it should not be adulterated. It has to be unadulterated. The principles should be the same. The detail of how and what may vary without compromising the principle of Krishna's message, or Vedavyas message, or Prabhupada's message. That is the 28th sloka. Moving on to the next sloka. So this is the sloka, 29th sloka. Simple, so very simple sloka, no complication at all. But I call this as the success for secret, the secret for the success in our Krishna consciousness. It only 4 lines, 4 padas. It has 4 bullets, real bullets, or we can call that as pills, medicines, or techniques, however you want to name it. We want to name it. There are 4 hidden pills for us in this sloka. If we can somehow apply those, take those medicines under the prescription, proper guidance of a physician, then we will be successful. And this is the secret that Narada Muni followed when he was a child. When he was a child, he followed this one and he was able to be successful. With that said, let's get started. Let's do the invocation prayer and then we can get started with this one. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasyaiva me anuraktasya prasirtasya athainasah shraddhananasya bhalasya dantasya anucharasya cha tasyaiva me anuraktasya prasirtasya athainasah shraddhanasya bhalasya dantasya anucharasya cha tasyaiva me anuraktasya prasirtasya athainasah shraddhanasya bhalasya dantasya anucharasya cha. Just to save some time, if you all don't mind, we'll skip the formalities of everyone reading here and get into the Arthakrama. You may, if you're those who are following Veda base or books, you may see difference in the way that the words are sequenced, because there's something called Shabdakrama and there's Arthakrama. I sequenced it based on the Arthakrama, not just leaving as a Shabdakrama, not by word on the same sequence, but putting into the proper way where the translation come in. Tasyaiva me, thus I, bhalasya of the child, anuraktasya, attached to them. Parishritasya, I was obedient. Atainasa, I was freed from the sins. Shraddhanasya, I was faithful in them. Shraddhanasya, and then dhanasya, subjugated, that has to be split over there, that Shraddha and Dhanasya. So there's a slight error there. Cha and Anucharasya, I was strictly following the instructions. Translation, I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses and I was strictly following them with body and mind. That's a translation, and let's read Srila Prabhupada purport in the next slide. Maybe someone can help me read this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please read.
These are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo-devotee. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a completely surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as the servitors. And by the association of pure devotees, only one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life.
Thank you very much, Arun. Let's
Sure.
do the Mangalacharan and then get started. Om Ajnananti Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamahyam Tadanti Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadaram Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I do have to say that we only have 37 minutes left, And I'm very confident we won't be able to cover the entire sloka. At the same time, I'm not going to rush through this, considering the wealth of knowledge and information in this particular 4 lines of the sloka. So I'll just do whatever I can without rushing. I just want to convey that message. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Now, there are 2 things that we all want, and there are 2 things we all don't want, right? Every one of us, whether you are a devotee or a non-devotee, it doesn't matter. We all look for 2 things in our life, and we are not looking forward towards 2 things in our life. That is, no one wants to be a failure. No one wants to be failure. Everyone wants to be successful in their life. And no one wants to be miserable, and everyone wants to be joyful. That's the case. We are not looking forward for failures and miseries, and we are certainly looking for success and joy in our life. This is how we usually look forward. For example, let me tell, in the material world, most of the thing doesn't go in the way that we really want it. Even though we apply the same formula, the unexpected result comes in. Once, my friend and myself, many years back, we went abroad to do our masters. So we left India, we went and we joined the same university. We took the same course. We were classmates. We were given the same assignments. We had the same teachers, the professor, and we did everything the same. And we worked really hard. And the grade also pretty much equal. We got the similar grades. And then he got a job, I got a job there, and we in the same company and the same position, same title. Yes, days passed, months passed, and then latest news is that he became the president of the company, and I became the president of St. Louis ISKCON. So even though we apply, not that I'm saying I want to be a corporate CEO or something, but we applied the same formula. We applied the same formula from the starting. But then the end result he attained was different, and the end result I attained was different. Even if 2 people start the same business, identical. When we see that the Google has become so very famous, and in the past few years, we saw another search tool engine called Bing, if you're all familiar with Bing. And they are really doing good. But then everyone, whenever it comes to internet, they talk about Google. You can Google it. You can Google it. So Google has become so famous. Even though we in the business, people apply the same principles, same marketing strategy, everything, not necessary they both are going to be successful. One will be successful, another one will not. We know this very well. That's the way the success and failures when we deal with material things happens. But the difference with the spirituality is that our success in the material, our success in the material world is completely based on our material achievements. How much you have achieved, what is your education, where did you go to school, how many credit GPA you have, how many volunteer service, all those different things matters for one to be successful in material life. Whereas when it comes to Krishna consciousness, it is not based on the achievements, material achievements, it's based on the sincere endeavor that one puts in. Even in the endeavor, even if we don't achieve, you're still successful. We are still successful. What is really needed is sincere endeavor. Therefore, in Krishna consciousness, the formula is same. As you can see in the slide here, our success in material world is based on our material achievements. Whereas in Krishna consciousness, our success in Krishna consciousness is based on our sincere endeavor, not the result. Krishna is not exactly looking for, have you passed each and every step? Right? Were you sincerely putting your effort? Is very important. Krishna is not a policeman, by the way. He is not someone like, you cannot enter into a company if you don't have degrees, if you don't have certain experience. You cannot tell I will pick up, right? Unless you are a beginner or a fresher. But Krishna is not like that. He is more compassionate father than anyone else. So in the material world, different formulas, but we get different result. Or if you even apply the same formula in material world, you get a different result, right? Every parent sends their children to these different schools, Kuman or whatever the different things, right? But not all the children attain the same result in their life. They go through different profession. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, it's the same formula. Formula is same to anyone, whether you are within India, outside India, whether you're male or a female or a child or an old man, doesn't matter. The formula in Krishna consciousness is pretty straightforward, very simple. Of course, Prabhupada says simple for simple people, difficult for complex people, right? So same formula. And the result is also same. Wonderful. The result is also same. So let's move on to the next slide. And now, we can move on to the next slide. Now let's hear what Prabhupada says about success in life, what it is, according to Prabhupada, success of life. Maybe someone else can read these bullet points quickly.
Hare Krishna. While executing devotional service, one must be naturally inclined to serve Krishna in one of these transcendental relationships. This is the actual success of life. Second bullet, when the living entity feels spiritual separation from Krishna, within parenthesis, Krishna Viraha, he has achieved the prime success of life. Third one, Lord Krishna said to King Yudhishthira, my devotee is not deterred by any adverse conditions of life. He always remains firm and steady. Therefore, I give myself to him and I favor him so that he can achieve the highest success of life. Fourth one, so real success of life is that when you learned how to love God. Fifth one, therefore, our business is to act in such a way that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied. That is success of life. Last one, what is that success of life? Success of life to understand his spiritual identity.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So first thing that we need to know to have Krishna in Krishna consciousness is one should have a desire and willingness to make changes in one's life. These are the basic things, because we cannot continue to stay however we are and expect changes in our life or some positive things in our life. Unless and until we have a desire, we need to have a desire for anything for that matter, whether it's a material thing or it's a spiritual thing, one must have a desire. And the next thing is to just having desire is not enough. There should be a willingness to put some effort towards that desire, right? So unless the effort happens toward that desire, we will not be able to change. I had a desire to come to America, but I can only have a desire sitting in India. But if I don't put an effort, what the step I need to take to come to America, then it's only be on the level of desire, having a desire, but that desire will not get fulfilled. So there should be a willingness to make some changes. I will take some difficulty leaving the family, eating whatever I can get at the time during my school days, etc. So the point to be noted is to have a desire to attain Krishna and willingness to make changes, the willingness to make changes is also termed as effort, one's own effort. Unless there is a conscious effort put in our practice, the spiritual impact on us will be very slow. Therefore, Narada Muni revealing his success story, the secret of his success, he gives 4 important points that we can take it and succeed spiritually. And of course, these 4 points can also be achieved on the material lines, but we're not going to talk about that. We'll just get into what is relevant to us. So moving on with that idea, let's move on to that's an introduction of the sloka. Introduction took 33 minutes. So let's move on to the next slide. The very first pill from the first pada, tasyaiva me anuraktasya. Anuraktasya is a key word. Right? I was very much attached to those sages. Narada says, this is one of the medicine or the pill for the success to cure our disease that we have. Anuraktasya, attachment. So attachment, one may ask that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vita Raha Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mam Upasritaha. Krishna says, well, you have to be free from anger, free from fear, free from attachment. Raga means not that the Kambodhi Raga, Kalyani Raga, all the different ragas. That is also Raga, but here Raga means attachment. Viraha, when we add V in front of that, Viraha means detachment, not being attached. When that Viraha becomes one's attribute in his life, then that is called Vairagya. So Raga means attachment, Viraga means detachment. When that Viraga becomes one's life attribute, then that is called Vairagya. So Vairagya is very important for one to progress. Whereas Narada Muni says, I was very much attached. So let's see why Krishna says attachment. When we associate with the world, things of this world, that is a problem. But Narada's same attachment was not a problem. It was a success for him. Anything that you deal over here, the more that we deal with a certain object, whether it's a sentient being or a non-sentient being, that is a living entity or a non-living entity, the more you associate with that, we become one with that. I was just watching a video, a Chinese video, a small video that had been forwarded, and where the father is busy in his work laptop, and then mother is busy with her cell phone chatting with someone, and the brother is also watching playing video games, and one child doesn't know what to do. He goes to brother, he's busy playing video game, mother is talking or chatting with her friends, and the father is working in things. So this child doesn't know what to do. So when we associate mostly with those things, because these things are made of material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and they are influenced, they are bound by the three modes of Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. When we associate with them, we also derive those gunas in us. We also derive those same gunas within us. Therefore, when we move to the other slide, we will see the attachment comparison between the material attachment and the spiritual attachment. Material attachment is dangerous because it's going to dig a pit for us. It pushes us into the big well called samsara. It's always dangerous. Any step when we attach to something, when that attachment get lost due to the absence of that object, again, it could be a living entity or a non-living entity. When that object is disappeared from our vision, no more present, then we have become in a miserable condition. Or that object does not satisfy our needs and expectation. Again, that's dangerous for our own self. That is the material attachment. Whereas the spiritual attachment is pretty safe because there's a proper understanding in that attachment. It is nothing to do with the material object. It is to do with the spiritual entities, Atma to Atma. It is not Sharira Bandha, it's Atma Bandha. Sharira Bandham and Atma Bandham are two different relationships. I love you because you look like the way that I wanted you to be. I love you because you behave the way that I wanted to be. Those are all based on the bodily concept. Whereas it is safe because it is dealing with the Atma Paramatma. Therefore, it is always safe. There is no influence of material energies over there. It is not made of material elements either. The material attachment keeps us in this world, keeps us very safely in this world. Whereas spiritual attachment, though it's called anuraktasya, attachment, actually that attachment will detach us from this world. From this world. That is the beauty of the spiritual attachment. Always there's an example given. Okay, we're not going to see too many examples. We'll just keep moving on. Takes us away, this material attachment takes us away from the right path. It completely takes away from a right path. Whereas the spiritual attachment keeps us in the right track or the path. Material attachments accumulates more karmas. More we get attached, more we accumulate karma, because we want to satisfy and keep that object happy. To keep that object happy, I might try to do many other activities. When I do those many activities, I'm simply creating more karmas. And therefore, the attachment will lead to more karmas. Whereas the spiritual attachment, when I have spiritual attachment, our karmas get washed away. They just washed away, completely washed away. That is spiritual attachment. And that is what has been told in this particular sloka as well. Where by the association of the saintly people, all my sins were eradicated. And another point has been mentioned here, the material attachments contaminates our consciousness. We all know that. The more we get engaged in Facebook, the more we get engaged in watching many other YouTubes and etc., which is not spiritual, then obviously our mind get contaminated. Even while you're watching spiritual videos or things, there are so many ad comes, unrelated ads. Sometimes these apps are so well artificially intelligent. They know what you're searching for, and they try to put ad in similar ways. So to attract you into another website, another video, right? So contaminates our consciousness is very difficult. But then in the material, in the spiritual attachment, it purifies our consciousness. When we get attached to saintly people, to the devotees, then these things are the benefits. It is very safe, takes away from this material world, keeps us in the right path, our karmas get washed away. And most importantly, we get our consciousness get purified. But the more we get attached to the material things, it is quite dangerous. Keeps us well situated in this world, life after life after life. And it all the time tries to take us away from the right path, and we try to do adharmas. And obviously we accumulate more and more karmas, and our consciousness get contaminated. So the best example like Narada Muni in Ramayana is Shabari. Shabari, people doesn't know our full background. There's not much information given about Shabari. But she was just in the association of saintly people. Being in the association of saintly people, she's simply in the very same life, by the blessings of the saintly people, and especially by her guru, Matanga Rishi. She attained the spiritual world in the very same life. So that is the power of association of saintly people. That is the first pada. And then let's move on to the next one. The second line is Prasritasya. Pratritasya is a keyword here. Hatainasaha. Hatainasaha is where the sins are getting eradicated. So that does not happens on, we cannot go and tell that, let my this sin go away, let my this sin go away. We have no power of that. So when these things happens, when these four other things are applied, automatically the sins will go away. So we're not going to focus on the second, the Shabda, Hatainasaha. We'll focus on Prasritasya, which means behavior. So he was telling, I was gentle in behavior. This term, Prasritasya, also means obedience. Right? Obedience, well-behaved, being obedient, all those different meanings are there for that one term. So what we are going to do is we will see the next slide. If we go, we'll see the well-behaved one. So let's stop there. Well-behaved one. So first step in cultivating is we have to try to cultivate good behaviors, and we have to behave well as we develop good behaviors. And this happens especially when we associate with those people who have good behaviors. There's good behaviors. And then when we have the good behaviors, then that behavior will have to extend not only outside, it must also extend inside. We'll talk about that more. But there are 4 important points in our behavior that I like to focus here. If we can just move on. First one is to live without pretending. Second one is hear without defending. Third is speak without offending. And 4, love without expecting. I learned this from His Holiness Swayam Krishna Bhagavan Maharaj. So I took it from his lotus mouth. So these are the 4 things: live without pretending, hear without defending, speak without offending, love without expecting. So this is very important. When we apply these 4 things, what happens is the net result is awakening of bhakti happens. We may be wondering that why I am chanting so many years. Why am I doing, I'm doing devotional service. I've been doing so many things in Krishna consciousness, but still I'm not getting that bhakti, the true pure bhakti. Then we have to check on these 4 things that we are on us. Are we living without pretensions? Are we hearing without any defensive nature? Are we speaking to others without offending others? Are we showing our love without expectations? Because we are going to see one at a time, and that may pretty much, I think, end the class looks like. So there are, no, we don't need to go to the next one. We can just, let's finish this one. So there are different kinds of people or devotees. Let's not talk about the people. Let's talk about devotees. There are different kinds of devotees. One who's bad, devotees are not bad, by the way. Devotees are not wonderful. When I say bad, do not take it in a too extreme case. When I say bad, there are some lack of good qualities. But we have been so familiar with the term bad, therefore I'm using this word term bad. Otherwise, devotees are really good. No one can say who's bad or who's good. Especially, we can hear this from Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, Samvada. In the conversation between Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu asked his son, my dear son, you came from the school. What did you learn from the school? Can you please tell me what did you learn from the school? And the son Prahlad says, I don't understand anything what they teach in the school. And the father said, why? You're best teacher, the best teacher of asuras. What's wrong? Why you don't understand? Because the teachers are saying the asuras are good and suras, the devatas, are bad. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't see anyone as good or anyone as bad. I see everyone equally. But that is Prahlad's vision. We may not have such a high level of seeing everyone equally. So we are still in that starting space. Therefore, we have to be able to know whom we associate with, and accordingly, so we can grow in Krishna consciousness. So one who's bad, both inside and outside, this person is just, we can say that person just started Krishna consciousness. Okay, this person is both inside also bad. Inside means in his house also is bad. Outside also is bad. But he can be called as a devotee because he just somehow or the other started coming to the temple, started associating to the temple. And the second type is one who's very good outside and very bad inside. The whole community, society glorifies him. Prabhu, Mataji, she was so wonderful. She was so kind, so nice. But as soon as the devotee enters into the house, the scene changes. No one in the house really appreciates that devotee because he's not good inside. He's only good outside. That means this person is progressing in Krishna consciousness. Eventually, they will become good both inside and outside, inside as well. The third is who's very good inside and very bad outside. Can this also happen among devotees? How can a person be bad outside? These are selfish people usually. They are actually not progressing, they are degrading. They're only concerned about my son becoming a devotee, my daughter becoming a devotee, my wife, my husband becoming a devotee, my mother becoming a devotee, so on. Everything to do with my. Least I worry about others outside. Right? So they do puja for their welfare. They chant for their welfare, their family welfare. They do services because it creates good punya. for their family. So these are the third type of people who's very good inside and bad outside. And there is a fourth class of people. They are mix of good and bad. That means sometimes they are good outside, sometimes they're bad outside. Sometimes they're good inside, sometimes they're bad inside. Most of us may fall into this category. Majority of the devotees fall into this category. That is because they are still influenced by the three modes of Rajas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Therefore, they have to really work to transcend these things. Eventually, they will get streamlined and they will be able to become good both inside and outside. And the fifth category of people are one who are good both inside and outside. And as I said, those are the special people who have transcended the three modes of material nature. The true behavior of someone is actually confirmed when that person is not surrounded by anyone, right? I can show myself to be the best humble person, very obedient, well-behaved when I'm in the temple, when someone is watching me, right? But am I the same when no one is watching me, when I'm by myself? If you're not same, then that means we are not being truthful. Rather, we are pretending to be true, right? So that's a very important thing. We are trying to put various masks outside to show ourselves how good I am. But in reality, we are not fooling others, but actually we are the one who get fooled. Being truthful to ourselves is a very important practice, whether inside or outside. Let us be genuine. Sometimes people say they go outside and they say, I don't, to increase their prestige or things. They may say, I fast on these days. And then as soon as they get into the car or get into the house, they munch something, right? So this is all pretension. It is all trying to pretend ourselves. We don't need. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the audience here are like that. There are people who are like that. They show themselves outside differently and inside differently. We are not here to become a famous figure. We should understand this. Very important in the practice of Krishna consciousness is we are not here to impress other people. Right? We don't want to impress other people. Of course, this can be termed positive term also. We have to impress people so that they can come into Krishna consciousness. In the name of impressing, we don't want to pretend ourselves from what we are not, right? So it is important that we know that we are not here working together, going to the temple to become famous. We are famous speaker. We are not here to become a respected devotees. We are not here to show the world that I'm very knowledgeable. I know better. I have read all the Shastras. So none of those things is the purpose of we take up Krishna consciousness. That's not the reason why we took up Krishna consciousness. If every single one of us go back to our initial days of Krishna consciousness, none of these things would have been the reason why we took Krishna consciousness, that I want to be recognized among the devotees. I want to be famous. I want to be so-and-so. I want to lead a position in Krishna consciousness as a temple president or as a whatever, GBC or what. None of those things would have been even thought about those things because we don't even know those things in the initial stages. We were innocent. We simply love the kirtan, we simply love the devotees, we simply love the prasadam, we simply love the philosophy, and we simply like to do the service. As days passes, as we become more into many years passes, as we mature, then we start calculating how much I have to spend time in temple, how much I have to give to temple, how much I have to read, how much I have to associate with this person and that person, how much it all changes. The whole innocence goes away. Innocence goes away, right? So we must be very sensitive, especially when we are dealing with devotees, and not to pretend ourselves, to show them artificially something else. In the Tamil language, it is said that ullondru vaithu puramondru pesade, meaning don't keep something inside of your own opinion and say something differently, flowery words to get attention or attraction or of someone else. That is not a nature of a devotee. That's not a quality of a devotee. The mind, speech, and action should be in sync. Right? Sometimes people take initiation. And they no one forces anyone to take initiation, by the way. But if someone wants to take initiation, then they have to know there are certain rules and regulations and how they have to behave among the devotees in the temple, how they have to take up the services. There are certain things one has to follow. But some devotees, even after taking initiation, they fail to follow the standards of devotees. That what happens is that because those initiated devotees creates a different picture, those who are not initiated, they get confused and they think, oh, this is what the initiated devotees are. Then what is the point of me taking initiation? I'm better off as I am. Therefore, it is important, especially those who are committed to Srila Prabhupada, to Krishna's family. If you're specially initiated, we have to set an example to others to inspire others. The inspiration has to come just by our behavior. If our behavior is not good, then no one is going to take up Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we hear that devotees come and say, Prabhu, very, very humbly, their voice is choked up and the eyes are filled with tears. The hairs are standing on the end. Right after having watching the Abhishek or some kirtan, ecstatic kirtan, they come and tell, Prabhu, I'm your servant. And then as soon as they say servant, then we are looking for many servants in our Krishna consciousness movement, right? So as soon as they say servant, then we say that, okay, Prabhu, why don't you take up this service? Then they immediately tell them, give some excuse reasons. You call yourself a servant, but then the service is coming on your way because Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Meaning that Acharya has given is, my dear Krishna, my dear Rama, kindly engage me in your devotional service. Okay. We are every time 16 rounds by 108 times minimum, right? We are chanting this thing that, my dear Krishna, my dear Rama, please engage me in your devotions. And Acharya is telling you have to cry when you're chanting. Right? So imagine someone is crying and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we have to tell the meaning of that is, just tell in English, right? Stop chanting the mantra, translate what you're chanting now. Now you cry and Sudha. My dear Krishna, my dear Rama, please engage me in your devotional service. Please engage me in your devotional service. And service is coming on your way. You say what? Excuse me. I have to take care of other things. This is not to discourage those who are chanting, by the way. From wherever we are in a position, this is an encouragement from wherever the position we are to uplift ourselves, not to degrade ourselves. So do not take it in a negative sense, what I'm saying here, and not to discourage anyone here, but to see we have, after many lifetimes, our tongue is now able to chant the Maha Mantra. When we were born as a donkey, when we were born as some reptiles, we were not able to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Now we will be able to chant, even when we have tongue, we were not able to chant Maha Mantra in different species. Now that we have tongue, we are able to chant, then we have to grow further up to make the chanting meaningful, to make it meaningful. Live without pretending is a very important thing as a devotee that we have to follow. I thought I will at least finish the 2 pada, but I was just able to go through 1 point out of the 4 points I want to discuss here. But beautiful points here without defending. Well, I want to stick on to the time and value your time. Everyone is busy. So I may request over the next speakers, if they would like to, they can continue on the same 2nd pada, 3rd pada, and 4th pada and complete the sloka. If not, no obligation. You all can move on with the next 30th sloka. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any thing to talk? Question? Discuss?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful lecture and all those nice points. And I personally believe that, yeah, it has all those points needed to be discussed in a detailed way. So it's okay if you have not, you're not able to, cover the entire verse, but that was important. So you are talking about, Prabhuji, like live without pretending. So that is very important. Like, like my realization is that, like, if with pretension we cannot be successful, and our devotional service will be also pretension. But Prabhuji, when we go to material world, where we associate with our like colleagues and all, there too we have to pretend a little bit, no Prabhuji? Otherwise our spiritual practice gonna be hampered, right? We cannot be just carried away in our material world, I think. So in the spiritual life, definitely there should not be any pretension, but in the material world, in dealings with our professional friends and all, we have to pretend a little bit, right? I guess.
Recently we had a meeting at the office, and in that meeting, on the side, we have internally we have a messenger tool where we can message with other team members and so forth. So while the meeting was going on, one person was talking, there was a heated conversation was happening. And this other person, the other person was responding, was a target, and he was responding to those questions in an audience of 50, 60 people. He was responding to the question. On the side, I'm getting a message from another colleague of mine saying that I want to be like this person who responds to those challenging questions. And the thing was, when the challenging question was raised, the other person was completely cool-headed. He did not defend. He did not fight. He did not show his anger. He was just cool by himself in a very, very, very composed manner. He was responding to all the questions without getting irritated. I know that person. And then I told the person who you messaged me on the side, said he practices yoga. And then immediately that person was an American who was chatting with me, and that she said that I would also like to know what this person is doing and want to practice and become like him. So I'm just giving this as this recently happened at workplace, right? So we can be truthful in the way that we are. When we are truthful, the people will more appreciate us. When you try to put off from what we are not, and one day or the other, it's like the fox coloring itself like a lion, the king of the forest. One day or the other, the rain will fall, our true color will be revealed. So it's better that we upfront, we be truthful in conveying what we are, how we are, and the truth will always be appreciated. Pretension is not needed, but also Prabhupada, also this is also important point. I am not good person, but I want to become a good person. What should I do? It is said by many of our acharyas, our devotees, seniors, gurus, that act like a good person. The instruction comes as act like a good person. You pretend to be a good person. And as you do it, and do it, you will become a good person. You cannot say that I am not a good person, I'll be as I am, because live without pretending. That's not mean you continue to be as you are with all the bad qualities. Okay? If you don't have bad qualities, then try to be as if you're a good person, with whatever. Don't show up as if you're a good person, you're next to Srila Prabhupada. That's not what we are saying here. The basic things. You're in a public place, try to be a good person. Be respectful. Say Hare Krishna to everyone. Have a smiling face when you see devotees. Don't burn. These may not be our nature, some of our nature, but we have to do this thing. When we do this forcefully, then like a child who gradually develops good qualities, we will also develop. So when it comes to workplace, also we can apply some principles to some extent of these same things carefully, but we don't want to overdo ourselves falsely. That's the point.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining. That makes sense. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So one of the things that you touched upon in the class is like the sins that we acquire by mundane association, that we can get rid of only by spiritual association, right?
That's one way of getting easy way of getting rid of is by the spiritual association. There's other methods also, by the way. And Bhagavad Gita talks all about that, how to get rid of karma. But one way easiest way is by the association of pure saintly people. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. So basically, so the thing is that even by the association of mundane people, do we acquire karma? Like, how is that? How can we understand that, Prabhu?
What does it say that?
So even like so we have to interact with mundane people on a day-to-day life. So even those acquaintances with mundane people will give us karma, Prabhu.
No, it doesn't, because as long as we are in this world, it is we are bound to get karmas. Okay. The way that our consciousness works, it can change the program whether to get karma, whether not to get karma. And we all go to work. By going to work, you know what? We are driving cars. We are driving cars. As we drive the car, in our windshield, how many bugs get killed? Under our tires, car tires, how many bugs get killed? Right? So when we go to office, we try to sit on, dust our table. Right? How many bugs would have been there who died? Right? Likewise, when we deal with our colleagues, we get into the conversation that we may talk, and it depends on what conversation we have with them. Right? If a conversation gets into the did you watch that show, did you watch that movie, then of course it's going to create a karma. And then you for example, this neighbor was telling me, one of our neighbor was telling, he works for a company, he was IT manager, and he had another colleague who was a Brahmin, Indian Brahmin. So that person came to his house and he was just chatting, and the American person offered him pizza, that homemade pizza. And this Indian, who was a Brahmin by then he took the pizza and he enjoyed the pizza, pretty much finished the entire tray, and he liked it. It's so very nice. And what are the vegetable in the pizza that you put? And the man said, it's macaroni. You know what macaroni is?
Yes, Prabhu. Like macaroni is only vegetarian. It's like that noodle kind of thing, right, Prabhu?
Yeah. Whatever it is, it's made of beef. It's beef.
Oh, okay. Okay, I don't know. I mean, okay. Oh, okay. I don't know that. Okay.
So anyway, so so we have to be careful as we deal with our colleagues. Whatever, how much ever we need to interact with them, that much we interact, not beyond. We don't get attached with our conversation. We don't get attached to the colleagues if they're not devotees. If the topic is Krishna consciousness, we go there, get our work done for our survival, and get out of this. Not more than.
Okay.
But
Sure,
we have to be good with them too. Not that we have to be good because they are not devotees. Because they are us as an example. Who knows? One of our colleagues may become a devotee next in a few years. We never know. Just because of your association, he may get purified. we have to set an example also at workplace. Okay, anything else?
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, that was the question. Thank you.
No, I'm asking anyone else have any other things?
Hare
Prabhu, can we
Krishna.
discuss these points next Saturday? Is it possible?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Prabhu.
I leave it Ramacharya Prabhu. That one, he is the boss of this program. I am a servant. If already there's someone is assigned, then I'm not sure. It's Ramacharya Prabhu's call. I'm available if needed.
Yes, Prabhu, we will adjust it. If devotees are ready to hear. But every time we read a new verse, so are we going to read the new verse or we will just continue this verse?
This verse is not finished. I just did one line.
Okay, so we can take few classes on this one.
But if you want me to do the other verse and then continue on the same verse also, we can do that also, Prabhu.
Yeah, the theme is more or less, I think, next few verses have similar theme. So it's up to you, whichever way you want, but we can adjust.
Sure. Okay, anyone else on this topic on material attachment and spiritual attachment and living without pretension? Anyone do not agree? Have any challenging things?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you mentioned that for the material case, you do the same method and same thing, but you get different results. In spiritual life, the result is always the same. But Prabhu, also in spiritual life, we find that that there are many devotees, and we're doing the same practice, same chanting and everything, but the result is not the same for everyone. Some are more realized, and some just stay where they are. So how do you understand that, Prabhu? Is it just the sincerity of the effort that makes the difference?
Yes. So that is exactly what was going to be my second part of what is prasirtasya. The term prasirtasya means well behaved, and also it means obedience. So unless we have that we are obedient, then we won't be able to follow the instruction given as it is. If we are the instruction, we don't follow the instruction that's given as it is, the result is going to be different. Different in a sense that it's not going to be different. The result is going to be slow. The result is going to be the same for all the devotees who will come into Krishna consciousness. There is no any bit of doubt in that. Okay, everyone who came into Krishna consciousness, they are going to get the same result at the end, which is the highest level of bhakti. That is no doubt. Only thing is when that's going to happen. And that when question is answered based on our obedience. How much we are, and the last part of the sloka, where the following the instructions. How much we are obedient in following the instructions will turn out that question mark of when. So until then, we may not see that end result, which is same like other devotees. We may see I'm not there yet. Does it make sense, Gopal?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Oh, it's 8. Well, we got to probably close this. Thank you all very much. Forgive me for any offenses. Vancha kalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhu bhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Ananta Kodi Vaishnavanda ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I'm dropping. Hare Krishna.